So this one is unit 9.2. So let me go ahead and create this. Math 1103 unit session 9.2. And the whole session is about interest, understanding interest. Now there are two particular type of interest we will be talking about, and that is simple interest. Simple interest is kind of like your credit card, your just very ordinary way to calculate interest. The other one is called compounding interest. Now that's a lot more complicated. And then on top of that, within compound interest, we have something called continuous compound interest. Now this guy is probably the toughest one you would see. But at the end of the day, right, just use the formula and you'll be fine. The first question says, determine the simple interest earned on $10,000 after 10 years if the APR is 19%. Now, all you gotta do is look at this. Look at this formula. The formula right here is I equals, so for simple interest, I equals PRT. What does that mean? It's the interest. I is the interest. I equals interest. How much interest you pay, right? P is the principal. It's how much money you start out with. R equals the interest rate. And T equals time. Now, time in finance is always regarding year. How many years you get. So it could be 2 years, could be 1 year. It could be half a year, 3/4 year. So that's something you gotta think about. So for this example, we know that the principal is 10,000. And we know the time is 10 years, right? So let me do interest rate first. The rate is APR, is annual percentage rate, and that's 19%. And remember, 19% is 0.19. And let's see, the time equals 10 years. So now let's see. The interest is equal to principal, which is 10,000, times 0.19, then times 10. And again, I'm going to use my calculator here. So it's 10,000 times 0.19 times 10. That should equal to 19,000.
Can you chop that up? Thank you.
So $19,000. That's how much interest you have to pay over this loan. Now let's say, so if you got a credit card, that's $10,000 with the bonds of 10,000, and the interest rate is 19%, and you leave and you pay for 10 years. That's how much interest you'll be paying. It is tough. No, this is the same thing, just a different principal, different time, and different rate. Oh, same rate actually. This one's the same thing. So you just use the same formula. And this one is supposed to start with 60,000. If the annual inflation rate is 3%, what salaries do you have to make in 2020 to keep up with inflation? Now, this one's a little bit tougher. You have to think about it. So think about it, right? For the first year, so let's say your salary is 60,000. To keep up with the rate next year, you will have to look at times. You're basically having to pay, basically your salary, right? It has to go up by 3% to match up with inflation. I know it doesn't happen, but that's basically the math behind it. So you will need 3% more So how do you calculate 31%? This is how you can do it. The principal equals actually the inflated amount equals the principal, how much you start out with, times 1 plus the percentage of inflation. So inflation percent. Like that. So it's how much you start out with times 1. Why is it 1? Because it's 100%. You start out with 100%, and then you add however many percent you need. And in our case, let me erase this right here. Let me start over from this one. It's going to be the principal is $60,000 times parameter 1 plus 3%. That is for the first year, right, for 2013. So think about, right? Isn't that 60,000 times 1 plus 0.03? Right, which is basically 60,000 times 1.03, right? That would equal to the inflated amount 1 year later. Yeah. So now the question is, that's 1 year later. What about all the way to 2020? So we say we start out 2012 and we go all the way to 2020. That's 8 years of inflation. Meaning we have to repeat the process 8 times. But just to make it easier, 60,000 times 1.03. Basically, you have to multiply this 8 times. Here we do it 8 times. But just to make it easier, on a calculator you can do this. 60,000 times 1.03, then raise it to the power of 8. Then you multiply that particular thing 8 times. You don't have to do it this way. You can just, you can do whatever you want on the calculator, I would just do 60,000 times parameter 1.83, raise it to the 8th power, close parenthesis. And there you go. It's gonna be 76,006.20 basically. So just use that formula when you do this one. Next is let me see. Now this is the calculate the future value if it's compound down. Now this is when we go to compound interest. Let me start over. So here's a deal with compound interest. That's the next one here. So this is the formula for compound interest, as you can see. This guy, I gave you another page from the formula. Look at this right here. We have, this is the different way to compound. So basically, compound interest just means that if I say annually, whatever principal you haven't paid off for that first year will be you will lever interest on that, right? But when you compound, what that means is the interest that is accumulating after the first year will also be used to calculate for the new interest. So if you have a credit card, right? Let's say you borrow $10,000. It doesn't matter if your interest is $2,000. They cannot levy interest on your interest. But when you do compound interest, they can, depending on the period of time, you would say, right? But for you, the most important thing is be able to use this formula. So the formula here, right, is A equals to the, I'm just gonna keep this formula right here and just tell you what the letters means. A is the accumulated amount. That's basically how much, in the end, interest plus your principal, how much do you owe, how much do you make altogether. P equals the principal R is the interest rate, T is the time, right? And again, we said it's in terms of years, right? What's N? N equals the interval of, I guess we can say compound interval. So how often do you compound the interest? Now this is a graph right here. This is a table that says if it's annually, then it's 1. Because if you compound annually, that means you compound your interest once a year. Semi-annually, twice. Quarterly, 4. Monthly, 12. Weekly, 52. Daily, 365. We don't count leap years, so we just say 365. So in this case, and also if you're doing banking, that's 360. So now let's do this first problem. What it says here is the principal is 22,000. I always write it down before I do the problem. Then the interest rate is 0.07, 7%. The T is is 20 because we're doing it for 20 years. And then it says compound daily. So that means N equals 365. So then the question is, what is the future value? What is future value? What does that mean? That just means this guy right here, A. This is also equal to FV. Future value, meaning how much money would it be, because you invested, how much money will you have 20 years later? So let's put this in the calculator, all right? So basically, in our case, we have to put this in. I usually write it down on a piece of paper, so the future value equals 22,000 times 1 plus, what's the rate? It's 0.07 divided by, what's N? 365, like this. Close parenthesis, raise it to the power of N is 365 times 20. I know the formula crazy on this software. It's a lot easier if you write it on a piece of paper. You can refer to the other presentation I gave you. It has a better way to write. They have a better way to write it there. So let's put this in the calculator. 22,000 times 1 plus 0.07 divided by 365. Close parenthesis. Raise it to the power. And then I do parenthesis. 365 times 20. And that's the answer. 89202.42. Nice, right? So let me see. Pretty much it's the same thing. This is 8 years. But now they're asking for the interest earned. Now, this is the part that's a little bit different. Now this time the principal is 17,000. Your T is 8 years. Your rate is 5%, which is 0.05. Your N was the compound. It's compound weekly. There are 52 weeks in a year, so that's the number we got. So let's put this in the calculator first. So the accumulated number will be 17,000 times 1 plus 0.05 over 52, and then raise it to the power of 52 times 8. So let me make this bigger, like that. So let's put this in the calculator. 17,000 times parenthesis 1 plus 0.05 divided by 52, close parenthesis, raise it to the power of 52 times 8. enter. There you go. So this guy turned out to be, the future value is 25,356.15. The problem is, that's not the answer. That's how much money basically you will have at your account altogether 8 years later. But they're asking for you to calculate the interest. They just want to know how much interest you get. So you put in $17,000 in the beginning. So how do we find it? The whole for all amount, which is the accumulated amount, right? Minus the principal, how much you put in the beginning, equals to the interest. So that will be 25,356.15 minus 17,000 equals, and I don't even know what that equals to. So I'll put in the calculator. So this one's now you can just put minus, and then 17,000 like that. And that just means the answer from the last problem. So I got 8356.15 basically. And that's the answer. That's how much interest you generate over the 8 years. So let me try it. Done. So yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So now the payday loan is the one that you really have to think about a little bit. So let me start it over. There's a particular formula for this. This one. So payday loan refer to very short-term loans where you might borrow $1,000 for like 2 weeks and then you pay back whatever. They give you languages that's very particularly difficult or complicated. So basically, the formula, right, is the APR, which is the regular interest, right? So they must say to you 10% interest for 2 weeks. But what does that mean in terms of a annual base rate based on the whole year? Because if I ask you to pay me back 20% in a week, that's a lot of money. So where does the bank, they loan out money at what, 10%, 15% interest rate for the whole year. APR is the short-term interest, short-term rate, times 52 divided by the length of the loan. And why is it 52? Because 52 weeks in a year, and short-term loans usually 5 weeks. So what do they got here? So over here it says this payday loan is made for 4 weeks. So the length of loan is 4 weeks. And then what it says is you're borrowing for $800. That doesn't really matter. You just gotta think about the interest rate. The short-term rate, in this case, you have to pay $20 back. Right. So you see that? You have to pay $20 back for every $100 borrowed. So that's like this. You gotta pay me $20 over 100. And isn't that just 20%? You put in the calculator if you want to. 20 divided by 100 is 0.2. That's 20%. So look at this. Let's put this into the formula. So APR equals short-term interest rate is 20%, right, which is 0.2, times 52 divided by 4, which is 0.2 times 52 divided by 4, which is equal to 110.4 over 4, I believe. And oh, you know what? My bad. I'm tripping. You don't even need to do that. Just do 20%, because your answer has to be a percentage anyway. So 20% times 52. What's 20 times 52? Is 1040. 1040 divided by 4 must equal to 1040 divided by 4. I have 260. So that means we have this is a 260% interest rate, right? Which is pretty bad. So So now if you borrow, so this is the APR. The APR of this loan. That's 260%. Now, let's see what they're asking now. If you borrow $800 for 4 weeks, how much do you owe at the end of the 4 weeks? So think about, for every $100, you're gonna pay 20, right? You got 800 of them. So just times 8, right? Times 8 and this one 60. All right, so I mean this. Oh, my bad. 160 plus the 800. So that's 960. Right. So this one's not too. It's just the, if they ask you for the interest rate, that's a lot higher. And that's the end of 9.2.